Now happening right now, of course, as we just mentioned, Ohio Attorney General Andy Wilson, as well as the Vinton County Sheriff and County Prosecutor, are holding a press conference with the latest information. Let's take a listen.
Good afternoon. At 10:30 today, the 4 defendants were arraigned on 16 counts of second-degree felony child endangering. They were assessed a $300,000 cash or surety bond per defendant. They were ordered to have no contact with each other as co-defendants. They were ordered to have no contact with the victims. We believe, will be requesting court-appointed counsel and will anticipate getting ready for the next stage, which at this point would be a preliminary hearing if they request that, or if they don't waive it, and that'll be with their counsel. Right now, the abuse, neglect, dependency complaints that have been filed are being heard by the Vinton County Juvenile and Probate Court. The initial hearing occurring now, we are asking for temporary custody to Job and Family Services. The children are safe. They have been placed. We have some other issues we're still dealing with for their safety, but they are currently in a good situation and are being protected. The last thing I want to mention very quickly, particularly for our local community folks, is this is an intra-family situation. This is not human trafficking. There is nothing to put our other children at risk. This is clearly involved a multi-generational family in a very limited situation. We know the early reports came out that some of this might be going on, but we want to assure the public that their children in Vinton County are safe and they do not have to worry about these defendants. I will now turn it over to Attorney General Andy Wilson.
I just wanted to touch on what the prosecutor had said. Yesterday, I know everybody's got a lot of questions. The nature of the crimes, we have a lot of hurdles that are real sensitive that we want to get you guys information as quick as we can, but the age range of the kids, there's a lot of specific hurdles involved in this crime. We will get you that information as soon as we can. We just want to let you know that, also to touch back on that the community is safe. They're just as safe as the day before you learned that this had happened. And we're still working on it, and we're going to do the best we can to make sure you guys are informed. So, thank you.
Okay, I'm Andy Wilson, Ohio's Attorney General. I want to open up by saying, like I did yesterday, like I do every time I talk about a criminal case that's just been charged, that under our American criminal justice system, everybody who is charged is cloaked in the presumption of innocent, and they remain innocent unless and until they are taken into court and proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. That being said, I'm coming to this press conference directly from the Sheriff's Office, where I had the opportunity again to sit down with Sheriff's Office detectives and with some of our BCI agents. And I was briefed, updated on the status of the investigation and the case. And I actually had the opportunity today to look at some of the evidence of the case. I was out at the scene with our agents and the detectives yesterday, so I saw the location, I saw the condition that it was in. Some of the evidence, yesterday when I saw the location, the kids were already gone. They were being treated at the hospital. The evidence I got to see today was some evidence where the initial discovery of the children was captured or documented. And again, I've done these types of cases for a long time, and I've been in incredibly poverty-stricken areas in the inner city. I've been in poverty-stricken areas in rural Ohio, and I've just never seen anything like I saw today with respect to those kids. As we sat and we talked about it, as the team kind of talked about it, it really looked third world. It's the type of thing that we're not used to seeing here in America, where our children are really our most precious resource, and we have an obligation as parents, guardians, and custodians to love our kids, to care for our kids, to ensure that they are safe, that they are well fed, that they have safe conditions to live in. That's what we expect here in America. And again, what I saw today, and the evidence, what I've seen up to this point in this case is just almost beyond comprehension that this stuff can happen in our country, and that it can happen in a house at the hands of people who are in charge of taking care of kids. In looking at the evidence, I can tell you without hesitation that a lot of credit has to go to local law enforcement, to Ohio BCI. I have the superintendent of BCI, Bruce Pijanowski, with me here today, and I have the on-scene supervisor, Jim Mulford, who really, it was his team that put this case together and worked with local sheriffs, deputies and sheriff's detectives in putting this investigation together, and they took it to the prosecutor's office to get the warrant, or at least have the warrant approved. And the reason I say that is because, again, a lot of credit goes to the men and women of this investigative team, because I'm telling you, in what I've seen up to this point, I think if they would have waited another 24 hours, there was a very high probability that we'd be dealing with a death or multiple deaths of these children. I'm not going to go specifically into the medical conditions of the kids, other to say that is, since the discovery of this situation, as you heard the prosecutor say yesterday, our number one concern has been the physical well-being of those children. Several of the children were, all of the children were examined and treated. Several of the children, I believe 7 of them, were taken to Columbus hospitals, and as I told you yesterday, I think at least 2 of them were care flighted. Those children, again, continue. We continue to treat and make sure that they are okay. Their physical well-being is our number one concern, but we also have to be concerned with their mental and emotional well-being as well. And I can tell you, on behalf of the investigative team, on behalf of the prosecutor, the sheriff's office, that is the number one priority, is make sure that these kids are taken care of physically, mentally, and emotionally. And part of that, as you heard the prosecutor say, is making sure that they are placed, that custody of these children is removed from the people who did this to them, and that these kids are placed in safe, loving environments where, again, it's going to take a lot of work to address the emotional harm and some of the issues that are going to result from this. But we need to make sure that those kids are surrounded and loved and supported by people who truly care for them. And we talked to the investigative team this morning, and it appears from the evidence in this case that these kids have been in a position where people they should have been able to trust to take care of them have failed them. Not only failed them, but harmed them. And it's now up to us to stand up for those kids. And you saw that yesterday from the detectives and the agents who went in and removed the kids from this physical location. But now it's on the system. And working with Prosecutor Archer and talking with him through the case, he understands fully that one of the best ways that you can help these kids, one of the best ways that you can address their long-term emotional and mental needs is by holding accountable the people who harm them. And talking to him about the evidence, and talking to him about his plan for the case, I am confident that he is dedicated to seeing that justice is done for these kids, and that the community, again, remains safe for everybody. We have offered the help of the Ohio Attorney General's office any way we can. We have our Special Prosecutions Division, and I have Jimmy Lowe, who's the Deputy Attorney General for Law Enforcement. He's been down with us all morning. We've offered up prosecutors from our Special Prosecution Division to assist, and I believe we're gonna partner in helping with that case. But our role is one of support and leveraging our resources. I want to thank Governor Mike DeWine. I talked to Governor DeWine a couple times yesterday. I talked to Kara Winty, who is the director of the Department of Children and Youth, ensuring that the needs of these kids, the placement of these kids, because as you can imagine, placing 16 kids in a county of this size taxes the resources. I have assurances from the governor and from the Department of Children and Youth, the governor's staff, that they will provide whatever we need, whatever resources we need to support these kids and help protect these kids. The other thing I want to say is this, as the prosecutor said, this is isolated to an intrafamilial event. The citizens of this community don't have to worry about their kids being part of this or somebody out there in addition to this that may be doing harm to their kids. But if anybody out there has information about this family and about these kids, if they call the Ohio Attorney General's office, and we'll have that number here available after this press conference. They call the Ohio Attorney General's office to our tip line. We certainly will get that to BCI, and we will want to talk to you as the investigation moves forward. So with that, I certainly appreciate the good work of everybody involved in this case. And Steve, I think at this point I'm going to just turn it over to a few questions.
Attorney General Wilson, I'll start real quick.
Again, that was Ohio Attorney General Andy Wilson on the events surrounding Vinton County. Again, we will be streaming this press conference right now, actually, on our website at WWKTV.com. We'll have more coverage on these developments as they unfold throughout the evening. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back in a few moments.